Hey, bestie.
Hello, hello.
I'm Savannah.
And I'm Alicia.
And this is Burden of Proof. You're all our besties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're here. What a great case last week.
We're here. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to follow that up, honestly.
You have to.
I'm going to. And this one is just going to be so entertaining. But last week's was so emotional and just hit different. It was one of those, I feel like some cases hit different, and that one was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, we have a patron chosen case, which are my favorites to cover.
Yes. They've been really good so far.
They have. We've had lots of hits, very few misses so far. Well, before we get into Dana Sue Gray today, I did want to just quickly touch base in some true crime news. This, as you guys know, we record a couple weeks in advance. So this was a couple weeks ago, but Willie Pickton was attacked in prison.
I don't know what to say about that.
Good.
Good?
Good is what we say. I mean, I don't promote violence, but I'm not going to negate
violence. Was it
violence.
like a feral hog that got into the prison?
I wish so bad.
You son of a bitch.
I wish so bad. But no, I think he was attacked with a broomstick turned shiv, is what I've heard from one source. And it was brutal. He's in the ICU in a medically induced coma.
How old is he now?
I think he's in his 70s. Let's Google it.
Wow. I'm surprised he would survive then.
Not Willie Nelson. He's 74. Yeah.
I was going to say, nobody better shiv Willie Nelson.
No, nobody's going to shiv Willie Nelson. Yeah. But Willie Pickton, for sure, they will. And he was attacked by somebody in their 50s, I think. That's why I had to Google it. I was confused if he was 70 or 50.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who we're talking about and you're very confused, Willie Pickton is a Canadian serial killer who killed, at least we think the number is around 35 people, but he was convicted of 24 murders of women. They were horrible. And he would then feed them to his pigs on his pig farm. Yep. It is one of the grossest cases that it's the only case ever that I have been listening to and got so nauseous that I had to pull over. I didn't throw up because I'm built different and I don't do that. But it is so disgusting. And he's a disgusting human being. And not only were his crimes disgusting, but he also just didn't bathe. Which is and he was just really dirty.
That's not surprising.
No, but it just gross. Yeah. Nasty. But he preyed on prostitutes and Native American women, and the number is, they think, around 35. It could be more, but those are just the people they can definitely tie to his farm. So,
but they only convicted him of 24.
Only convicted of 24. But it's probably just a tax issue. They were we can't afford to keep trying him, and he's never going to leave prison.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Plenty.
One day, maybe we'll cover him. Probably. He's fascinating to me. But at the same time, it's really gross. So
nobody wants to hear me throw up.
It is a nauseating case.
I'm a relatively quiet puker, but still.
Anyway, that's the update on Willie Pickton. I'm sure at this point, because this is the first week of June, this happened end of May. He may be dead. He may not be dead. The more
he
you
may
know.
Make it and go back to jail and get shivved again.
Part of me hopes that that's the case.
Yeah.
Being shivved sounds like a horrible way to die.
It does.
Just pretty on par for what Willie needs.
Well,
what was that one case you covered where the guy got so brutally attacked in prison?
Oh,
I can't remember that case.
It was the pedophile.
Yes,
Richard Huckle.
Yes, I want to say Puckle, but I knew that wasn't right.
Huckle.
You were right.
Yeah, that was gross. That was more than a shiv.
Well, that's what I'm thinking needs to happen here. I would love to recommend that you go listen to the Richard Huckle episode, but I cannot in good conscience tell you to do that. It was so hard.
That was a hard case.
Yeah.
That was Yeah.
Alicia did a great job covering it, but definitely read the description before you click into that one.
Mm-hmm. I saw a meme about true crime podcasts like us.
Meme?
Making fun of us for being true crime, but then saying, I don't want to go into detail. It's too graphic.
That is us.
And I was like, oh, it's us.
Me.
But some of us love true crime because of gore and all the scary stuff, and some of us love it for like the psychological or the legal. So
yeah. And I think I'm right there in the middle. Like, I don't mind a good creepy, like, bad crime. It's entertaining and interesting, but like at the same time, there's just a fine line.
Yeah, I can listen to the gore, but I
have a hard time reporting it.
Sometimes it's necessary to talk detail, and sometimes it's like, well, no, you get the picture.
Right.
Like, I will say, that being said, y'all know our podcast besties at Gore Report. Like, clearly, they go into a lot of detail, but I think they do a pretty good job.
Oh, they're so respectful.
They always do a good job of being respectful.
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that somehow, I don't know how they do it.
They are so talented, truly.
But they do it in a way that is respectful and doesn't really feel like sensationalism.
Right.
I don't know that I could pull that off.
I was just about to say, I don't think I can do what they do.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just I just don't.
Exactly. So that's my take on it.
I'm with you on that. As always, very well said. Alicia has a way with words.
The ADHD.
You just do. I just think it's therapy does that to people, I think.
Therapy does that?
I think it does. You can always tell when you talk to somebody, and you can tell that
trauma does that to people.
Yeah, you can tell when they've been to therapy because they can accurately communicate.
Okay.
I stand by what I said. I stand by it.
I mean, I have been in and out of therapy a lot.
Same.
Quite a lot in my life.
It's okay. Same. So have I.
Yeah.
Therapy is a great thing.
It is.
We're going to have lots of PSAs today. PSA number 1, therapy is good. PSA number 2 comes to you halfway through the episode. So,
all right.
Not even halfway. Good. Actually, not even halfway, in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
This is the longest intro we've had in a really long time. Yeah.
It'll get cut, so it's okay.
Yeah. Hey, patrons. This was all at the beginning.
I'll definitely cut out, but I'll keep some parts.
Yeah.
I already have it tucked away up here.
You're so good.
As to what I'm going to clip for Patreon and what I'll leave.
You have to leave this in, I'm telling you. You ready? And you're going to hate it. You have to leave it in.
I have to leave this in?
You do, because I've been wanting to say this for a week or two now. Alicia is the best podcast editor ever of all time.
What?
I have listened to the last 3 episodes that we put out, and I don't normally listen to our episodes after they've been produced because it's like listening to yourself talk. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see how we were being consumed by, a listener. Mm-hmm. And I just know what goes on in the back end, and you just do such an amazing job, and you have to leave this in. You have to accept the compliment. So,
okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, murder. Murder.
All right, so now after that really long intro and terrible news about Willie Picton,
she says with a smile.
Here we go, Dana Sue Gray.
All right, Dana Sue Gray was born Dana Sue Armburst on December 5th, 1957, to a very unhappy couple. Her father, Russell, was a hairdresser, and her mother, Beverly, was a former beauty queen turned model. And while they were very happy to have a child, they were struggling in other ways. You see, Beverly had a bit of a spending problem, like a serious spending problem. And she ran their marriage into the ground with her shopping and her debt, and the two were quite literally on the brink when one day Russell saw Beverly attack an older woman in the parking lot of a shopping center. And he was like, yeah, that's when he knew his marriage was over. He was like, okay, we're done. This isn't salvageable. We're done.
You're just going around beating up old ladies?
So apparently the two had an argument or a disagreement, and then it got violent. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't really know that much about why it got violent, but what we will see are the parallels between her mother and Dana.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to just keep this in the back of your head.
Okay.
So they divorced and they ended up both remarrying. Her dad ended up being married like 4 times total in his life. And I mean, teach their own.
What, that's not normal? My parents have done that.
Okay, well.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I know that's not normal.
No, sorry, it's not. That's an absorbently high number. But I'm just kidding. It's not that high.
Well, one of them, the better parent, married the same person twice.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Really like 3 marriages.
Right. Yeah. And 3 marriages. I mean, Rost was divorced 3 times.
Yeah.
And none of them were his fault. Well, saying Rachel's name at the altar was totally his fault.
Yeah, that was total. Yeah.
I, Ross, take thee, Rachel. Emily! Tag yourself. I'm Emily. She handled that like a boss. Anyway. So, like I said, they both remarried, and they both remarried people who had children from previous marriages. So they blended all of their families, and unfortunately for Beverly, this was not going to work for Dana. She began to display some behavior issues, acting out purely to gain her mother's attention, and specifically trying to get her mother's attention over her step-siblings getting their attention.
Right.
She regularly stole cash and other things from her mom, and on one occasion, she took her mother's dress and, cut it up. And when she felt that her stepbrothers were getting too much attention, she would sneak into her brother's room and take a nap and intentionally wet the bed. Now, her mom was trying to discipline her. Do not get me wrong. She was doing everything she could, but Dana was the type of child who wasn't fazed by any sort of discipline. And to Dana, any attention from her mom, even negative, was good attention.
Yep.
All press is good press, people.
True.
Yep. As she got older, the behavior got a little bit more extreme. She often skipped school, and there's even a report, and I only saw this in 1 or 2 places, and I couldn't corroborate it, but
yeah.
At one point, there's a story of her making a homemade catapult with a neighbor, and then she used it to launch stray cats into a pool. It's a really specific story.
It is. That's
Yep.
An interesting pastime there.
Yeah. Well, she became sexually active at the age of 12 and had multiple partners, but her world slowed to a stop when she was 14 years old, and her mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. Unfortunately, her mom passed away frightfully soon after her diagnosis because she had delayed in getting the lump she found examined. This is PSA number 2. Please do breast exams monthly, and don't wait if you find something that's concerning.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Take care of yourself. While Dana and her mom were adversarial on the best day, like lots of parents and their children, Dana still really cared and loved for her mother. Later, when she's talking to a psychologist, she would say this. Tomorrow, Good Friday, 4/1/94, also April Fool's Day, is my real mom's 76th birthday. It's been 22 years since her death, and I still celebrate her birthday for her. I celebrate it because when she died when I was 14, and we never got to get past the growing up years to become my friend like my dad and I are. She was wild, but she made my younger years a total adventure. Camping, glamping at Pismo, the best Halloween parties, and best Christmases a poor family could have. She could make a fun time out of just about anything. So even as an adult, she's able to look back at the awkward, argumentative years and really see the good that her mom gave her. So they were close, She also found herself inspired by this portion of her mom's life because she was around all of these nurses who were taking care of her mom. And this is what pushed her to a career in nursing. She saw these women trying her absolute best to save her mom and being compassionate and kind. And so that's what she decided at 14. She was like, I'm going to go to nursing school and I'm going to become a nurse.
Okay.
And I don't know what about this just struck me as so pivotal in her life. Because I'm like, she has the logic and the brain to have had a more normal life.
Yeah.
And she just goes so far the other direction that it's just, it's difficult to process in the end.
Yeah, I'm already sensing probably some mental health things going on.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about a diagnosis in quotes at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had the option to become a more normal, stable person, and her mental health, would then lead her to have more impulsivity and unstable behavior.
Right.
But in this moment with 14-year-old Dana in the hospital, like with her dying mom, looking at these nurses trying their best, like even though her mom passed away, she still looked at these nurses like they were angels. So it was just really, it was good for me to see that. I was like, aw, And then it just gets
I mean, that's why I already kind of sensed the mental health disorder somewhere in there, because a lot of mental health disorders they'll have moments where, just like any other person, be like, that's really impressive, or they'll have the empathy, and they'll have all those normal, quote, normal thoughts and feelings and ambitions. But then when they're responding to things or reacting to things out of emotion versus just or should I say not just emotion, because that's an emotional decision in itself, but a triggered emotion, like a trauma response kind of thing.
Honestly, then that's not even really what happens. Like, we don't really have a real, I mean, we do. Okay. I guess that's not true. There is. Anyway, we'll see.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
No, and you're right. And that's kind of what they talk about at the end, but it's also just like, but murder, anyway.
Yeah. No, it's extreme.
As always, it's extreme.
Yes.
So after her mom passed away, she moved in with her father and her dad's new wife and her step-siblings. Later, when his wife found marijuana in Dana's room and she was sharing a room with one of the new wife's children, they decided that Dana could no longer stay there. So they had other smaller, younger children in the home, and she was, still acting out and was not a good influence.
Yeah.
Now, Dana was 16, and they kicked her out of the house, and she moved in with her boyfriend, who was also her skydiving instructor.
I'm guessing you have to be an adult to be a skydiving instructor.
I would say so, yes. And I honestly did not find his age somewhere, but I did write in my notes what an age gap that was. Like, okay. And not to mention a power dynamic. Like, she's literally putting her life in his hands on a regular basis. I just thought that was strange. But this is the first that the listeners will kind of see of Dana's everyday personality and like the things that she enjoyed. She was, a very active person, an adrenaline seeking person. She loved skydiving, and eventually she would go on to really like other sorts of activities in the same vein. Now, the story with this boyfriend is that while she was with him, she became pregnant twice, and both times they chose to terminate the pregnancies. Dana would say that her boyfriend kind of pushed her to terminate the pregnancies, but he's not here, so I'm just reporting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's to say? She graduated high school, and then she went to nursing school, and she worked her way through nursing school as a waitress. And then during late high school and college, she becomes estranged from her step-siblings because one of her aunts passes away, and she fights them so hard over this inheritance to the point where they just stop speaking to each other.
Okay.
So.
I'm surprised she still had contact since she got kicked out.
Well, and like at one point, one of her half siblings or step siblings would later come out and talk about like they were close. I mean, even with all her behavior issues, when her mom died, like her older siblings kind of jumped in to kind of help raise her a little bit. And so there were times where they were closer than others. And I mean, some of them say their childhood was rougher than others do. It's one of those things where everybody's experience in this family was a little bit different from what I can tell.
Well, yeah, that's often the case. I mean, both because everybody perceives things differently and takes things differently, but also speaking from experience, when you have marriage after marriage and you have half siblings and you have step siblings and yada yada, it is because you're not all living under the same roof all the time. Right. Every dynamic is different with step parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
she graduated nursing school in 1981, and she found a job right out of college at a hospital. And then that actually led to a better job, and she was at a different hospital, and she became a labor and delivery nurse. She eventually married singer and businessman Tom Gray, and the two of them bought a house in Canyon Lake, which is a gated golf club community, country club community type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all in California. But it's not in like a popular area of California, if I'm remembering correctly. It's like not in LA or San Fran. It's like in a smaller subset where there are rougher areas of town.
So probably north?
Yeah.
Okay.
With her husband's business sense and their general success, she was able to become, like, she was windsurfing and mountain biking, and she was still skydiving. Like, she was able to really pursue all of these things that she really loved. And the two of them started several different businesses together that were successful. They called their LLC Gray Matters, which was kind of cool. And even their great success was not enough to support Dana's outrageous spending habits. She loved to shop, something she got honest from her mother. By the time they were married for 9 months, the couple had $67,000 in loans.
And when was this again?
Late, like mid to late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. So her financial choices completely ruined their marriage, which is a direct parallel to her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had a miscarriage, and she would say that this miscarriage was her 4th miscarriage. And this led her to turn even more into alcohol to cope, and marijuana and cocaine. That's one thing I don't see reported as much as I think it should be in this case, is that Dana really struggled with addiction, and she would use several different substances throughout her entire life moving forward.
I mean, makes sense.
Yes.
The shopping itself is addiction.
It is, exactly. So Tom was in a band, and he was a singer and a songwriter, and eventually Dana started to have an affair with a member of his band before she moved out of the Canyon Lake house and in with this boyfriend. In March of 1992, so a little bit after she had already been separated from her husband, she began seeing a therapist because she was really struggling to regulate her emotions. So she recognized that and was in therapy. In September of 1993, they've been separated, but they're still intertwined financially, and her and Tom decide to declare bankruptcy. In November of 1993, Dana is fired from her nursing job after being accused of misappropriating, stealing, and using medications. Lots of drastic life changes in the back half of 1993.
Mm-hmm.
In 1994, the beginning of 1994, Dana reached out to Tom Gray's parents to see if they could help coordinate a meeting with Tom. At this point in their estrangement, he had kept his address and phone number hidden so that she had to go through a third party to meet with him. He did agree through his parents to meet with her, but then the day that the meeting came, he decided not to go. This was the best decision he's made because, come to find out, Dana had actually taken out a life insurance policy on Tom.
What the hell was she doing that he had to, like, hide from her, essentially?
Yeah, their marriage was very volatile when they were together. And I think it was just a combination of her behavior based on her addictions that led to the estrangement.
And the boyfriend that she went to live with, was that the bandmate?
Mm-hmm.
So she, like, Yoko Ono'd him too.
Yeah, she did. And she doesn't end up staying with this bandmate for like a super long time. She ends up dating somebody else too. But So the same day that she was set to meet Tom, now they were supposed to meet on February 14th, on Valentine's Day. On that same day, after she was supposed to meet with Tom, she went to the home of Norma Davis. Norma was 87 years old, and she lived in Dana's old neighborhood of Canyon Lake. Now follow me here, okay? There are so many different explanations as to how Norma was related, but the one that I found within like court documents and stuff is that Norma was the ex-mother-in-law of the woman that Dana's father marries. So her name is Jerry, the woman in question. Her name is Jerry. So Jerry was originally married to Norma's son. When her and the son divorced, she was still taking care of Norma. Then she married Dana's dad, Russell.
Right. Okay.
And is still taking care of her ex-mother-in-law.
Okay.
That is how Dana knows Norma.
Okay.
There are some reports that when Dana was living with her dad, it was when he was living with Jerry, and that there are some people that say Norma was actually living in the home. So that's how she knows her.
Okay.
Regardless, that's the connection.
Okay.
Now, she was never formally charged with Norma's death, but the police strongly believe Norma was Dana's first murder victim, and you'll see why in a few minutes. But Norma was found 2 days later on February 16th after being stabbed 11 times and nearly being decapitated, with 2 large knives still left in her body. There was a ripped phone cord, a small footprint, and various other small pieces of evidence, but never enough to charge Dana. There were no signs of forced entry, and Norma's friend who helped her as she got older, like a neighbor, said that Norma always left the door locked if she wasn't expecting company, and if she didn't know who the person was. Like, she was very conscious of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there wouldn't have been forced entry. She would have known the person.
Right.
We're going to jump nearly 2 weeks after Norma was killed on February 28th. Dana goes to the home of June Roberts. She was 66 years old, and she also lived in Canyon Lake. When Dana pulled up, she had her current boyfriend's 5-year-old son in the passenger seat, and she told June that she wanted to borrow a book on controlling a drinking problem. So June was like, yeah, come inside, come grab it. And when Dana came inside and June went to grab the book, Dana took both the curly cord and the straight cord off of the phone and used the curly cord to strangle June. While she was unconscious, she used a bottle to bludgeon her to death before tearing through the house for her credit cards and bank book.
This is... wow.
Yeah. The escalation is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not the escalation in the crime itself, because Norma's death was, I think, more violent. But...
right. I wasn't expecting... I didn't really know. I knew she was a serial killer. That's all I knew.
Right.
I wasn't expecting it to be like this, I guess, because you had said to support her shopping habit or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't this.
Right. You're probably thinking more like, Black Widow situation to get money. And this is not that. It is violent, and it's for credit cards. And, her shopping addiction is one thing. And some people, she also was pulling cash out to support her drug use.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Immediately after she killed June, she went on a shopping spree. Her and the 5-year-old ordered very expensive meals, visited a salon, bought a very expensive jacket and several pairs of cowboy boots, and a toy for the child. Then she went to a resort and got a massage. This seems like a good time to let you know what Dana looked like. So Dana was 5'2", and she was always like pretty immaculately put together. She, again, the daughter of a beauty queen and a hairdresser. Like, she had bleach blonde hair. She looked the part of a Canyon Lake mom.
Yeah.
And even after she committed these crimes, like, she would leave and go out and she wouldn't have blood on her. And if she did, she would change. Like, she didn't look like she had just committed a murder.
Wow.
And June's murder was the second murder in Canyon Lake, and the residents were terrified. Some of them moved in with loved ones until the murders were solved, and a group of elderly widows that didn't have families began sleeping in big groups at designated houses.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
I know. A few of them thought that there was a cult, committing these murders. They just didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
So March 10th, just 10 days after the killing of June Roberts. Now we went 14 days, and now we're at 10 days.
My God.
Dana stops into an antique store where she attempted to strangle the store clerk, but she did not kill her. Basically, she said she wanted to look at these either picture frames or paintings, and when the clerk turned around, she strangled her with a phone cord. Again.
Okay.
Her name was Dorinda Hawkins, and after she swiped some cash, Dana took off, and 40 minutes later, Dorinda woke up. An hour after this incident, Dana continued to use June's credit cards and the cash she swiped to go on another shopping spree. Of course, when Miss Hawkins woke up, she called the police and told them everything that she knew. She was able to give a really good description of Dana and told them that even if she struggled really hard, she didn't think that the attacker was much stronger than she was just caught off by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And B, she said that the last thing she remembered before she blacked out was her assailant saying, "Relax, just relax." And she said it reminded her of how a doctor or a nurse would use those kind, quiet, soothing tones.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert.
Creepy.
Terrifying. So this incident was widely reported and all the local papers had it the next day. And after talking with her and some other people that they were talking with in the investigation of Norma Davis's death, they were able to ID her. We'll talk about how they were able to do that in a minute. But on the afternoon of March 16th, 6 days later, officers staked out a mobile home where Gray was living with her boyfriend, who was not a suspect at all. They pretty much knew that it was just her.
Mm-hmm.
They got their warrant approved and they arrested her and took her in for questioning while they were looking through her apartment. In her home, mobile home. I said apartment. I don't know why it says mobile home in my notes. While they looked through her mobile home, they were questioning her at the police station.
Mm-hmm.
And inside, they found jewelry, food, liquor, a ski mask, a purse with nearly $2,000 that was stuck inside the washing machine, lots of clothing, and tons of other things that matched the purchases on June Roberts' credit cards.
Right.
They also found her bank book, which she had used to pull out about $2,000. They found keys that she had taken from the antique store. And, you know, at that point, she had tried to withdraw another $2,000 from another woman's bank account. They were like, we have record of her going to this bank. That's weird. Dana was arrested wearing diamond earrings she bought with her blood money, which I was just like, for some reason, that just like shook me to my core. I was like, oh my gosh, it's terrifying.
I'm glad she was caught quickly.
Well, we're not done.
Oh my God.
Just before the police start to interrogate Dana, they receive word that another detective is investigating a crime that had occurred earlier that day. March 16th in the morning, 6 days after the attack on Dorinda, 87-year-old Dora Beebe, a stranger to Dana, was living in Canyon Lake, would be her next victim. Dana pulled up to her house and knocked on the door and told her that she needed directions and that she was lost. She said, "Yeah, come on in, come look at a map, orient yourself, we'll get you where you need to go." Instead of being met with gratitude, she was met with a phone cord. She was strangled to death and then bludgeoned with an iron that was found still bloody in the sink. It's actually confusing on whether or not she was strangled with the phone cord or if they just found a phone or phone cord when she was there. But regardless, her cause of death was bludgeoning from the iron. And there were stairs in her unit because she lived in a condo in this association. So she'd been pushed down the stairs at one point.
Okay.
So her daughter had tried to call Dora earlier in the day, like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
At the same time as they were, about to go arrest Dana. Because May 16th was the anniversary of her mom's late husband's passing. And it was a really hard day for her mom in general. She didn't get a hold of her, but she was like, maybe she just missed her phone call. And then her neighbor went over to say hello and found her in her condo in a pool of her own blood, deceased.
Yeah.
Her daughter would later recount that her mom had actually moved into the condo to avoid a home invasion or violence in her home because that was her biggest fear.
Oh.
Right, I know. That's just horrible.
And all because people don't think that a 5'2" little blonde lady is gonna be a serial killer.
Exactly. Within the hour of killing Dora, Dana had gone on another shopping spree that morning. This is when she tried to pull out another $2,000 from Miss Beebe's checkbook or bank book.
Dang.
So then they were able to identify her after they suspected a woman named Jerry Armburst. So Jerry is the woman who was married to Norma's son, who was taking care of Norma. So they were like, well, why are you taking care of a woman that you're not related to? That's a little suspicious.
Yeah. But
once the detective got to know her, he was like, actually, he had a feeling. He was like, I actually trust her. She's not our suspect. And they kept working together. And when they got the description from Dorinda Hawkins, the antiques clerk, she was like, oh my gosh, that's my ex-stepdaughter. Like that sounds a lot like Dana. They showed a picture of Dana to Dorinda. Immediately, she identified her.
Yeah.
So that's how they were able to tie things to Dana in the first place.
So quickly, yeah.
So Detective Greco, who was working on Norma Davis's case and June Roberts' case, was actually pretty new into the homicide unit. Norma Davis was only his second homicide case, and June was only his third. He was really young, and he was like, people didn't take him seriously. And at one point, he was even doubting his own efforts to be able to do this. He was like, I don't even know if I'm capable of pulling this off. But like, I'm glad he rose to the occasion and he kept going. And I hope his confidence is boosted because he knew to trust the right person. And immediately, once they had Dana in police custody, she volunteered information about her quote unquote horrible childhood and struggles. And even when she was like, oh, wait, like my rights, maybe I should get an attorney, she just kept talking. So she didn't ask for one. She just said, maybe I should get one. And then she kept going.
That doesn't count.
Doesn't count. And I say quote unquote horrible childhood because there are just differing accounts of what happened. So that's why I say it like that.
Yeah. But when it comes to mental health, people have to keep in mind that like perception is reality to them.
Yep.
So it really doesn't.
Yeah. And like her step siblings would later say that like, yeah, their mom was kind of difficult to live with and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like Dana had good memories with her mom later. So it's, you know. So while she was talking with investigators, Dana cried a lot and she admitted that she knew June Roberts pretty well. It was kind of an awkward conversation at first, but eventually she implicated herself in Eventually, she implicated herself in the February 28th murder of June Roberts.
Okay.
She said that she only vaguely implicated herself by admitting that she was using her credit cards. And then she said she found them. She said, I just found them and I was using them.
I just found them.
Yeah.
I was just walking down the street.
Yeah. And then she said she found the bank book of a woman named Dora Beebe. And she gave several different stories as to how she found these items, but she stuck to that. And while she wasn't admitting to anything, she admitted that she was in Dora's apartment. She admitted that she was using her bank book. And she brought up Dora Beebe. They didn't bring her up. Yeah.
I don't know.
You can't make this up.
I'm just shaking my head because I don't. That's
right. She, after some more questioning, said, I got desperate to buy things. Shopping puts me at rest. I'm lost without it. Yep. I mean, same.
Not for me. I'm sitting here thinking like, God, I hate shopping.
I love shopping, but like only for specific things.
Mine, it's not the purchasing of things, but like I physically hate going and shopping for things. Like
I love shopping.
That's why I'm a slave to Amazon. I don't want to be. Jeff Bezos is evil, but it's so easy. And then I don't have to go out and I hate shopping. I'm trying to get away from it. I am starting to like try and order directly from companies instead of on Amazon and stuff. But it's, I can't imagine.
I like shopping for everything but clothes. Anything else, I love it. I love grocery shopping.
Ugh, no.
I love shopping for like everything else. Anyway.
Not me. Pass. I'm going to start having you do my grocery shopping.
Okay, well, listen. I like grocery shopping for me and
for yourself.
For 2 people. Yeah. I don't want to shop for 5. Not at this point in my life. Dorinda Hawkins said later in an interview after seeing the police photograph, quote, when I saw her photo, I had cold chills run down my back. I knew it was her. I'm positive that they got her. Thank God. And I was just thinking like the relief she must have felt when she was like, yes, oh my gosh, that's her. And she's off the street. She's not going to come back and kill me for reporting it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into Dana's time in the courtroom. Her arraignment was originally set for March 21st, but it was postponed when her public defender came forward and asked for more time to prepare. Surprisingly, the prosecution agreed fairly quickly to the extension. They were trying to come up with charges for Norma Davis's murder because, like, they had a lot of really circumstantial stuff, but they didn't have any DNA or anything tying her there or any use of her cards, like, directly after. She didn't really. I mean, she may have taken cash.
I was going to say, what did she take then? Or do we think there was another motive in that case?
Don't know. The main thing that she took from Norma's was like tangible items. But then At the same time, she left like her diamonds and stuff.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. She may have used it like a little, but they couldn't tie it directly to her. I think there were charges, but they couldn't prove that it was her that did it. Versus like June Roberts, A, she admitted it, and B, she spent way more of June Roberts' money.
Gotcha.
And that was like a really easy one to grab.
Yeah.
And she was seen around June's house, and she was seen in Dora's condo.
Yeah.
She was also seen around Norma's house, but for some reason the public
well, and there's the defense could argue, well, she knew Norma.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So local journalists were waiting for the arraignment after it was postponed, and they were looking for other stories to like talk about to like drum up more press. And one of them decided to talk about Dora's cat. She had a 7-year-old gray little tiger-looking cat named Wheezy. And Dora's daughter was trying to find a place to like rehome it.
Yeah.
And they were basically posting an ad for this cat. They said that she needed a shut-in cat she needed somebody who was kind of a shut-in who wanted a companion.
Oh, poor Wheezy.
I know. Could also be Wezzy, but I'm pretty sure it's Wheezy. I just thought that was cute.
Sorry, I'm having intrusive thoughts about the debate that me and my family have all the time about how long it would take our dogs to start eating us if we were to die.
Okay, why did I have the same thought? Because Dora was found so quickly. I was like, well, I'm glad that she was found fast.
Yeah, because the cat will turn on you in a heartbeat.
I know. We are the same. We have the same brain. The same brain. Anyway. So on April 8th, 1994, Dana pled innocent.
Wait, after her spilling her guts at the police station, she
never commit to murder.
Yeah,
she admitted
true.
to like fraud.
I can't believe that. I can't believe her defense attorney wouldn't be like, you need to make a plea deal.
Oh, her defense attorney does a pretty good job.
Nice. Except not.
I mean, yeah, but
because she's guilty.
Yeah, but he was like doing his job.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like sleazy about it, in my opinion. She held to her story that she had found the credit cards and the bank book. And then in July, at a hearing, the deputy district attorney, Richard Bentley, requested the death penalty. He wanted to commit her to the gas chamber if she was convicted. Yep.
I mean, not surprising.
Yeah. In prison, she wrote letters to people she thought might assist her, asking them to judge her, quote, with their hearts. She said that it was an election year and the police were manipulating the facts to win the case. She insisted that they were lying about a number of things. And she said, quote, I'm very scared and very alone. She claimed that they didn't care about her as a person and that she had lots of people who were siding with her, but they were being silenced.
Okay.
While they were awaiting her trial, her public defense attorney engaged with the services of several mental health experts to shore up his belief that she had been in a state of diminished capacity due to the circumstances in her life of late 1993. Because everything happened so fast at one time.
Right.
So, reminder, she was a successful registered nurse to a man that she loved, and within a few months, she had lost her job, gone into bankruptcy to the tune of over $200,000, suffered a divorce, and had a miscarriage, and then she lost her home in a foreclosure. So the Canyon Lake house was foreclosed on in the bankruptcy process. She says that at one point, she was under such extreme stress and only had $100 in her savings account. I mean, homie, we all been there. And I didn't kill people, so, whoopsies. She had been seeing a doctor and been prescribed antidepressants, and she had expressed suicidal thoughts. And so in 1995, when her trial was set to begin, her attorney dropped the bombshell. He came forward with an insanity plea and completely changed the tone of the trial. Now, she told a psychiatrist that it had taken her a full year to understand what she had done. And that she was like, her state of mind was just in a completely different place, the year before. She said she had initially resisted the idea of an insanity defense, but now she had come to accept it because she truly saw that she was not in a sane place at the time of the crimes. During prison, though, she had gained a reputation for assaulting people, including prison staff.
You can't.
Yep. So,
that's not legal insanity.
She was evaluated by several psychiatrists, but two main The defense expert was a Dr. Lorna Forbes, and she was actually the second psychiatrist to look into Dana. And she says that, Dana told her that Dora Beebe had reminded her of her mom. She basically says that after she killed these people, she had nausea. She was so upset and she wasn't in the right state of mind and that she wasn't herself. And Forbes' report stressed that she had no awareness of right or wrong or the severity of the situation at the time of the crimes. But of course, the prosecution's expert, Dr. Martha Rogers, said that she was probably provoked into the killings by different things that the victims said or had done over time, except for Dora, who had been like kind of a devolvement. And she certainly did know what she was doing at the time of the crimes because she had planned, prepped for, and carried out in full awareness of what she was doing, even if her alcohol abuse or drug abuse had exacerbated her impulsivity.
Yeah.
So then, faced with a mountain of court time, several phases of trial, and many, many, many expert evaluations ahead, Dana opted for a plea deal. On September 9th, 1998, Dana, who was now 40, changed her plea. She did this in front of a Judge Patrick F. Magers, or Magers. It's G. Take it as you will. She pled guilty to robbing and murdering 2 women, which was Dora and June.
Right.
And she dropped all pretense of insanity. She accepted life sentences and evaded the death penalty. However, part of her deal was that she was not to be charged with the death of Norma Davis, which most people take that as an implication of guilt. That she said, you can't charge me with that. You're not allowed.
I mean, kind of. Yeah. I can see why people would think that.
Yeah. Outside of the courtroom, her defense attorney told reporters that it was a roll of the dice and his client had realized that the stakes were really high and preferred the safer route. He said that he had been prepared with testimony from 4 different psychiatrists and psychologists about the fact that she had abused alcohol and stopped taking her medication during the months leading up to the crime spree, and he insisted that her remorse was genuine. However, her remorse was not genuine. At several points later, she would blame June Roberts for different instances of the crime, and she barely even faked remorse throughout the whole ordeal. One expert diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder, and while I'm not a psychiatrist, she definitely had some sort of personality disorder that would cause all of this. And I'm not a psychiatrist, but you know more about that than I do.
I know quite a bit about this disorder.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And no, again, it never surprises me when, especially in cases like this, just the way they go about things. And like when you were talking about her semi-confession, like she's like, what? I just found it. And she's talking about it like even in that moment, she doesn't see anything wrong with that.
Right. Because she did just find it in their house.
So even if you just found it, it doesn't mean you get to go and use it.
Right.
Which is this fine line of like, well, then you could ask the question, doesn't that imply that she did not understand right from wrong? But no.
But she knew that it was wrong.
Knew because she hid it and she cleaned up after and she, yeah.
She knew that the murders were wrong for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
But that being said, I've known multiple people with that disorder, and not all of them are serial killers.
Yeah.
None of the people that I know.
Not all of them. Which one was?
I mean, none of the people that I know are serial killers.
Right.
They have a lot of difficulty in relationships. They yeah.
Right.
And borderline personality disorder sucks because
it's not,
there's no medication that fixes it.
Right.
It's developed through like childhood trauma.
Right.
And there's very specific therapy for it. And I have been told by a psychiatrist that if you don't get help for it early, once you're into adulthood, it's usually just set in, and then it's like pretty much impossible.
Yeah, it's tough
to get people out of the patterns that they're in.
Yeah. It's a toughie.
Yeah. And then my cousin, who's also a licensed mental health counselor, has said yeah, usually we were trained to not tell people when that's our diagnosis. We try to avoid telling them, and we try to implement therapy without telling them, because oftentimes, statistically speaking, they will be quick to quit therapy because they feel so defeated, like there's nothing I can do about this, or they're in denial about it.
Right. It's tough.
It sucks. But no, they're not all serial killers.
Right. I would argue that most of them aren't serial killers.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say, I don't know if you remember at the beginning, I told you to hold on to something. I think it's fascinating that Dana's victims were elderly women after her mom's divorce was caused by her shopping addiction and the attack of an older woman.
Yeah.
Even though she was like 2 years old at the time. Crazy. It's just a big circle.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if her mother also had borderline personality disorder because of some of the stuff. Like, she remembers good things about her, but then there was a lot of the attention problems and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much to our patrons for helping us choose this case. And if you made it this far, please leave us a little kitty cat emoji in honor of Dora Beebe's little kitty.
Wheezy,
who I'm sure Wheezy found a great home. Because Wheezy was only 7. That's got a lot. That's a cat that's got like 10 years left.
Yeah, sometimes longer.
So that's our emoji for the week. If you enter that onto our post for this week, you're eligible for Sunday shout outs on our stories.
Yeah, and if you like us or like what you've heard, you can always help us. One of the best ways to help indie podcasters is by rating us.
Yes, and leaving reviews if possible.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Also, we hit, 3 weeks ago, 800 followers on Spotify, which just on Spotify alone is crazy. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
That's it.
That's all we've got for you today, but we will talk to you next week.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Burden of Proof Pod and email us at burdenofproofpod@gmail.com.